iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.
It has been a huge undertaking, a huge labor of love. There's so many of us who have been with the project for so long, and we've done iterations out of town, and just to finally have it in New York at the Long Anchor for New York audiences is such a gift, because there's just so much that they are receiving and showing us back that they love and that they get. And it's a huge homecoming for me. It's been a long time since I originated something. And so it's been a labor of love is just what it is, because it's been a lot of work, a lot of time. But we're all just so happy that we're finally here this season. It feels amazing to be back on Broadway. It feels the outpouring of love and support from the community has been overwhelming and humbling and beautiful, and just to feel people cheering me on and cheering the show on in such a gorgeous way is just it's overwhelming. What drew me to the show is I saw a concert version of a show called Witness Uganda that Matt Gould had written, and I sent him a message on Facebook. And I said, can I hear anything else that you've written? I'm just, was broken open in such a beautiful way. And he sent me Lempicka, and I listened to all the demos, and I read the script, and I immediately just fell in love with the music and the story and the essence of this character. And I went to several iterations, with other people playing the role, and I just loved it so much. And cut to all these years later, here I am. It's an interesting task to play a real person. I think it's a little bit easier when they're no longer here with us, and especially from a time where there is no footage. There's no video or audio of Tamara. Thank God we have access to her granddaughter and great-granddaughter and the stories that they have told us and shared with me. To me, Tamara... She told a lot of versions of her story, and they just recently found out that she was older than she said she was, whether she was Jewish or not, whether she never claimed she had a daughter. When she first started painting, she painted under Lempicka, which is the masculine form of the name. So there's just so many versions of truths that we don't know what exactly is the truth. So at the beginning, I did a lot of research, and I found it to be more complicating than helpful. But what I took away from it all was the essence of this woman and her ambition and her drive, and the way that her mind worked in order to survive, in order to make connections. She was a branding genius before that was even a thing. She had control over how she was photographed, the way she was photographed, what publications what pictures they were allowed to print of her. So she was already thinking in a way that was way ahead of her time. And so what was important to me was just capturing that essence, and not apologizing for the messiness of her life and her decisions, and recognizing that if this exact blueprint of a character was a man, it would be much more palatable for audiences, which is interesting. So, yeah, I think over the years I was worried about people not connecting to her, not liking her, and this time around that has really gone to the wayside, because it's important to show humans in all of their all of their messiness. This entire score is incredibly difficult to sing. It's not easy. I think because there's the vocal range that it spans for Tamara. It's never just in one spot. So you can be like, oh, I got this. It's like down in the basement, up in the rafters, all over the place in the middle. And so it's constantly keeping me on my toes. And every day is a different adventure. Womanist has always been a moment. And I think releasing the song and the video ahead of time, I started to feel when we first started performances a little bit of pressure of like, oh my God, now everyone knows the song and they're going to want to hear it, like I did in the studio and this and that. But I feel like, I feel blessed to have the opportunity to sing this gorgeous song and this gorgeous moment in the journey of her character. But every time I have to, if ever I get off track and worried about that, the pressure, I just have to like immediately snap back into what I'm doing at the moment, and releasing the fact that I'm a human being and it's not going to sound perfect every single time. So that has been a journey on its own, but every day is a new opportunity. I feel like honestly that they come to me because, Brooklyn and Elphaba, this was before there was no, I was in the original cast of Wicked, so I didn't know what it was. And the same with Tamara. I just feel like I want to be challenged. I want to always push the perception of what a woman should be, and I want to represent people in the fullness of their capacity. And so I'm honored that I have these roles that people associate with badass women. And I'm just, I'm honored and humbled. That was an absolute dream come true, full circle moment. The moment I heard that cast album, I immediately, was forever changed. I was just like, these people are on Broadway? Like, I hadn't quite heard Jesus Christ Superstar yet. Like, I hadn't quite heard all of those other rock pop musicals, but I was just like, I have to do this show. And Maureen, I just was drawn to her and her quirkiness and her sassiness and her confidence. And I auditioned for the show 11 times. And I lived in LA, and so every time they would come to LA, I would make it past the first call, I would get called back, and I never made it past this woman. And I didn't have any experience. I was 18 years old. I didn't go to college for this, so she just kept telling me, don't do it like the cast album. Don't do it like the recording. But to me, no education, I was like, but if I do it exactly like her, just give me the job, right? Like, what's the problem? And so over the years, they would call me every time they came to LA. We want to come back in. And one time I just finally said, can I ask, will I be auditioning for Heidi? And they were like, yes. And I was like, I'm just like, I'm not going to go in. Like, because I just felt like I was not going to make it past her, which probably wasn't a good decision. But cut to all these years later, I also auditioned for the movie before they got the original cast, didn't get it. To be asked to be a part of this cast, it was the summer of a lifetime. It was, I'm never going to forget it. I'm so grateful that we filmed it. It is an instant family, and it's just such a special piece that I'm so grateful that I got to be a part of it at that time with those people. Summer of Dreams. Yeah, Summer of Dreams. Oh, I have so many. I really have so many. My first time going on for my Broadway debut I made as Nessa Rose, actually, with one rehearsal under my belt. But I feel like the first time it was Sean McCourt wheeled me out. It was the first time I had been on stage with the lights, with everyone, and I just remember my face being like, because I was just like, oh my God. Then I remember people telling me, eat in your face when you got wheeled out was just like, like that particular memory is burned in my brain. And I think the closing of the LA company was otherworldly. It was just crazy. For some reason, when we were out there, we felt like rock stars. Like, it was like, you could feel the like vibration of everyone all the time, but the closing of that company was unlike anything I've ever experienced. And that original cast, like, come on, I was 25 years old, and when I would go on, I'm like doing scenes with Joel Grey and Carol Shelley and Norbert Leo Butz, and like, what is my life? Like, it was just Kristen Chenoweth, obviously. They were just so kind and generous to a young, inexperienced 25-year-old, but they just embraced me so beautifully, and like sort of, gave me my little wings to fly. Yeah, I could literally go on all day about Wicked Memories. I really could. Oof, such a good question. What's crazy is I started getting a lot of auditions for voiceover, and I always was told, like, it's such a hard thing to break into. It's such a hard thing to break into. And so I had auditioned for several projects for Disney over the years, Tangled the movie, Frozen, and I got an audition for this project, and it was super secret, and it was called Project T, and they sent me these sides, and they said, your character is supposed to be like 19, 18, 19. So I pitched my voice a little younger, and they called me back and they were like, so they want to have a session with you and bring you in, but they want you to speak in your normal voice, like your slate. When I was like, hi, I'm Eden Espinosa. And yeah, they played me a reference track there for the scene, and I was like, that's Mandy Moore. Like, I knew immediately that was her voice. I was like, that's Mandy Moore. Like, what is this? And then it was later they told me that it was going to be a series. And, I had beautiful experiences with Seth Green at Robot Chicken. And but Tangled was just the most special experience ever, to be a part of that world with the original team and the original voices, and have Alan Menken and Glenn Slater write songs for my character, and to have other Broadway people involved in it as well. It's I'm so happy that people love it still. I miss doing it. And voice acting is, it's tedious. It is very tedious. But it's an art form unto itself, but it's very freeing to learn how to capture emotion and moments without relying on your body or your face. That being said, you can be as crazy as you want to get something across, but it is interesting. Honestly, the other day when we were recording the cast album, Matt Gould had a friend in the booth, and she came up to me after and she's like, I've never seen anyone take notes the way that you do. Like, they would give you an adjustment and you would immediately know how to deliver exactly what they were doing. And I thought to myself, oh, that's because of voice acting, because you have to know, how can I manipulate my voice in order to get that across? And it's really cool. It's really, really cool. So I love it, and I hope that I get to do more of it.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.